Good morning. It's good to see you again. Today I want to speak to student teachers, those of you who are at school learning to become teachers. This is a fantastic profession. I've been teaching for over 40 years. I still love it. Every day I have the pleasure of waking up and working with students. Wow, am I lucky! And you should too feel the same way. It is tough, no doubts about it. We are faced with all sorts of challenges, but they're challenges that we're going to learn how to deal with, how to work with. Don't let them scare you. The one thing that I would ask you to do, and that is to always learn. Always be out there improving your knowledge, your skills, your understanding of the learning techniques, of special education, of medical issues that can affect your students. We are exposed to a basket of children that represent society. So we're going to have children with medical issues, psychological issues, anxiety, mental stress, kids who are in dangerous homes, who deal with physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse. Our classroom is a melting pot, and we welcome everybody to it. But we cannot put on blinders and pretend that the ugly doesn't exist. What we can do is make our classroom welcoming, a fantastic place, a safe place where students can come and feel great. And as such, we can look at seeing what we can do to make our classroom better. When I was a student teacher a long time ago, I had a lovely teacher named Pat. And she, in her classroom, dealt with a lot of low-income, hungry children. In her classroom, she had a kitchen with a fridge, cereal, milk, bread, things to make sandwiches. There were no questions. A student could come in, make themselves a breakfast, and they were welcome to do so. Same thing for lunch. All of this came out of Pat's pocket. She also had donations of clothing. So if a student came in and didn't have new clothing or clean clothing, they could go to a selection of clothes and just help themselves. Pat taught me a lot. In that classroom, I was the only white person. And it didn't matter. We were just people in the class. The big thing that affected me was my Canadian accent. I was giving a spelling test, and the word THE came up, and I called it the. And these kids just looked at me like, what's he talking about? And it wasn't until I saw Miss Pat sitting in the back of the room in hysterics, loving this teaching moment that no other experience could have prepared me for. Needless to say, I wrote the word on the board, and the kids said the word is the. I remembered that. And what a fun way to learn. I learned from my students, and my students were grade 1 students back then. Since that time, I've worked with students with all sorts of special needs. I'm a special education teacher. So I've worked with the hearing impaired, the visually impaired, nonverbal, autistic kids, kids with Asperger's or ASD. I've worked with kids with medical issues, kids who are going through medical treatment. I've worked with kids in Indigenous communities. I've worked with students in all sorts of situations. All of them have taught me something. And I've had the great pleasure to learn from them. There have also been students that I didn't know what their medical or their psychological or their cognitive issue was, and I had to go learn. Then I had to learn what are the best teaching techniques to help that individual. Here I am 40 years later as a special education teacher, and I'm still learning. Today, we see more and more kids with mental health issues. This is something I've had to learn to deal with on my own. I've had to teach myself about mental health issues so I can then work and help my students with mental health issues. That's on my time. That's something that I do just because I should do. I should know that stuff. That's what I encourage you as student teachers. When you graduate with a great bundle of energy. And, sorry, not energy. You're going to graduate with a bundle of knowledge. Keep adding to that knowledge. Keep becoming stronger and better at what you do. And learn how to advocate for your students. They're young people. They may not have the voice and know how to advocate for themselves. Be a friend, help them out, and be there for them. Welcome your students. If a student is late to your class, the first thing that you should ask is, are you safe? Are you well? If they say yes, wonderful, come on in. If you work with high school students or whomever, and whatever the school protocol is, if they have to go to the office and check in, then you can encourage them to do so. But the primary thing that you should be asking is, are they safe and are they well? If the answer is no, then there will be a protocol in your school as to what to do with a student who's at risk. Implement that right away. Know what the rules are. Know what the protocols are in your school. If your school doesn't have protocols, get them instituted. Create them and get them instituted or implemented. On that note, wow, welcome to a wonderful profession. This truly is a blast. Every single day, you get to be with young people and help them learn and become valuable members of society. Good for you. I'm Mr. Phil with Meadowlark Tutorials in Ottawa, Canada. I'm wishing you well. Thanks for becoming a teacher, and we'll see you soon. Bye.